opportunity to speak. As the events of Paris unfolded over the weekend, I watched in horror as the rest of the world as violent terror once again touched the soil of America's oldest allies. I echo the cares and the concerns of the world that terror is growing, and we must stand united against it. Terror does not respect borders or nationalities. It affects our felt at the smallest villages and in the world's most recognizable cities. Nearly 500 innocent people were killed or injured in Paris this weekend, only 10 months after the extremists attacked the Charlie Hebdo offices, murdering 17. Last week, 43 people were killed and 239 were injured by a suicide bomber in Beirut. Mounting evidence shows that terrorists were likely involved in the deaths of 224 people aboard a Russian jet that went down in Egypt last month. In Israel, our friends have been battling this increased violence for weeks, now with no predictable end in sight. Each of these events happened in the last 2 months, and there are countless other victims of hate around the world who losses go too often unnoticed. Those losses have continuously happened over the past 6 to 7 years, and some of them seem to fall on deaf ears and deaf eyes. No matter the location, the fact is that too many parents in these nations worry if their children will come home safe at night. It is times like these that defenders of freedom need to remember the common threads that bind us together against the power of evil. France was not the beginning, nor will it be the end. On the heels of this tragedy, ISIS has taken credit and released a video promising that something worse is coming. Something worse is coming. We should not neglect that threat. Our own CIA director said earlier today that he anticipates this is not the only operation that ISIL has in the pipeline. And the Paris attack is not something that was planned in a matter of days. The President has stated he shared that goal, that we want to degrade and destroy ISIS. While that is all our goal, in the meantime, we are obligated to the American people to contain and control these crazed attackers. ISIS has expanded to Egypt, Yemen, Afghanistan, and to Pakistan. Teenagers from England and Europe have attempted to or successfully supported ISIS on the ground. As sickening as these actions are, it is more terrifying to think that those recruits might bring their new training back home. How long until we see terrorism touching our U.S. soil again? This is not just a threat to the Eastern Hemisphere. This is a global threat that requires a global response. The U.S. cannot be the only one involved, but we also cannot fail to act. When America fails to lead, there is too often a vacuum that we have seen filled with the nightmares of hateful leaders whose disregard for innocent lives and their quest for power and control. We must be vigilant for the sake of the life in America and across the world. We must continue to fight those extremists and stand as a united front against the rising tide of evil.